people can start losing weight just by making better decisions.
Motivation is driven from the inside out.
Use flexibility as a tool. Rely on structure when it's helpful.
This is where we discuss the possibilities.
Hey guys, I'm Joe Klemczewski. Welcome to the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast. And today I have a special guest. We're in the coaching clinic segment of our podcast. And I have one of the very first charter Diet Doc program owners, Michael Wilkie from Nashua, New Hampshire. So welcome, Michael.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
I've got several questions. I want to go through just a little bit about some of your process, how you've seen the industry change a little bit, because this goes back, I want to say, maybe 12, 13, 14 years. I don't know the exact date of when you guys were on Main Street in Evansville, but just for the sake of reminiscing, because this is cool, I just love this story. You flew into Evansville, Indiana, like I said, almost 15 years ago, 12 years ago or so. And tell me what you were thinking at the time. Why were you willing or wanting to create this kind of a partnership?
Well, for me, it was a situation where when I had first started doing this in high school, I was a senior in high school, and I competed in my first bodybuilding competition as a 6-foot, 140-pound, wimp. It was one of those things where everything I had, learned up to that point was, even back in those days, the mid-90s was what we call today bro science. It was just not the best approach or long sustaining. So I had actually been invited to a bodybuilding camp that you were the featured speaker at in 2000. And, after listening to you speak for a couple hours, I wrote you a check on the spot, for you to become my coach. And then when you, whenever it was, 8 years later, whatever it was, you said, hey, I want to get this going as far as bringing on some consultants and things like that. That's for me, because having worked with you for so many years before that and the success that I had, it was a no-brainer to be able to take advantage of that opportunity that you were giving us, because at that time in 2000, I had actually started my own personal training business. And so it was just a focus on the personal training side of things with general nutrition guidance. But again, when you approached me and said, hey, this is what I'm doing, I was like, that's why I was one of the first ones, because I just want to be able to add that value to my clients.
So tell me what got you into personal training in the first place. At that time, you and I were both younger guys. What made you say, man, this is kind of an up-and-coming industry and I want to be a part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it goes back to high school and what we did back, I graduated in 96, and what we had back then, I don't think they still do today, it was called shadowing programs. So I had gotten a membership at the local gym because I wanted to start working out. I saw my, the old story, I saw my first Arnold magazine. I'm going to be Arnold someday. No, but it was one of those things where at that time I wanted to get in the gym. Nothing was going to stop me. And so by being in that situation and seeing how it was making me feel in terms of my confidence levels increasing and just, for my athletics at that time, so on and so forth, it came to a point when during my senior year of high school, when they had this new thing they were doing, what was called shadowing. Whatever you want to be when you grow up, you're going to go out into the community and follow a person for the day in that profession. And so I had competed back in those days. We did something in bodybuilding competitions called like couples. So you would actually be judged, man and woman on stage doing all the quarter turns, the mandatory poses, and then the posing routine. Well, the older woman who I was doing it with at that time, who I was competing with, she was one of the personal trainers in the local gym. So I had a conversation with her, and I said, hey, would you mind if I follow you? I think I really like to get into the whole personal training side of things. And she said, absolutely. And literally from that moment, that day, I literally remember what I was wearing, just following her up for the day. I said, yeah, this is what I'm doing. It's literally all I've ever done. I've had no other careers, and I just January this year was my 19th year doing it. It's been great.
Wow. So Corey and I yesterday were talking in our Fitness Entrepreneurs segment about the need to specialize. You started out, as a young guy doing personal training, and you're still doing it, but how has that evolved? And do you agree? Do you think in today's market, today's industry, people need to differentiate? What are your clients looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because everybody now, as you know, is an expert. And so the flip side of that coin is there are a lot of good, legitimate experts out there and professionals who are providing a great service. I think where professionals make a mistake, and I've been guilty of it as well, and I've gotten away from that, is trying to be a jack of all trades, trying to be the best in everything. And I just think you really end up, you only have so much capacity, so much bandwidth. You can't just take in everything. And so if you establish yourself in your community as the expert, it's like I remember the conversation we had a couple of weekends ago in Nashville. One of our people is trying to be the expert for those people who are traveling to Disney. How can I stay in shape in Disney World? How can I be healthy at Disney World? I mean, you can't get more specialized than that. Right. She's just going to have a corner on that market. It's the same thing in my community. I'm considered one of the experts in contest prep, and weight loss. I'm one of the only people who offer personal training as well as the nutrition guidance. And I get more people today, even though I've been personal trainer for 19 years, I get more people hiring me today for my nutrition consulting than for personal training, although they do end up, doing that as well, but they come to me in that vein. And so we're just able to provide them a very specific approach to nutrition, to being healthy, to a healthy lifestyle, weight loss. And where the specialization comes in, I think, is that we make it work for that client as an individual. It's not a cookie cutter template based one size fits all approach. We really want to know, who is Joe? What does Joe need to be successful? How is he different from Steven or whoever the heck? We really want to make sure that we have you on a plan that's going to allow you to achieve your goals and then be able to do the same thing for the rest of your life. And so by getting to know you and through that collaboration, it's a home run. And so as far as I'll speak from my area, that specialization has been very valuable for me as for my clients.
Yeah, and one of the things I did want to talk about this morning, and again, just a reminder, I'm speaking with Michael Wilkie, the Diet Doc program owner of Nashua, New Hampshire. Michael, you have found that your experience as a bodybuilder and working with me on contest prep has created a little bit of a subspecialty in your area where people see you as a little bit more serious nutrition consultant. I also know that you're a pretty dogmatic coach. I mean, I've come to like that term more. When we started the Diet Doc licensing program, we had to be careful making sure that we're not stepping on the toes of dietitians, and we stay away from those kinds of words. And we landed on consultant and clinician and all that. But I think in today's jargon, people kind of respond to the word coach. Mm-hmm. And, not to mar the terms, making people think you're like a little league coach or a soccer coach. But I think people really have embraced that term. And the reason I like it is because a lot of people in the general population come to us for a large part looking for a pretty stern hand. They need some accountability. They want to be told exactly what to do. And the more dogmatic you can be, I think people respond to that. And we obviously grow into different layers of flexibility and sustainability, but I think you're one of those guys who really garners a lot of trust from your clients because you have a pretty aggressive approach. This is what we're going to do. This is why. As you said, it's very customized. But is that intentional? What is in your mind when you're using that kind of approach?
For me, honestly, I definitely think I'd take a harder line, but it's always in a spirit of support. It's always in a spirit of compassion. I never want to be, this is what we're doing. You have no other there's no alternative. This is it. Shut up. Do what I tell you, and that's it. I don't want to take that approach, but I really want to. I think what happens is when I have a client come into me, and I actually have adopted using the word coach myself in the last year or so. But somebody comes into me and they want to hire me as their coach. I think the biggest challenge that I find as a coach is that these people are coming from other coaches or whatever, and a lot of it comes from the online, all these, experts online where they've read one study and, all of a sudden they're an expert. They're doing things that we were doing 20, 30 years ago that just don't apply anymore. There's a better, safer way to do it. So for me, I really, with those types of people, I say, hey, look, that's what we're doing here. But if we did this and we take this approach and you're able to, adopt it to your own lifestyle, understand that you're going to have to make tweaks, I promise you, you're going to feel a lot better. It's not just about achieving the goal. we'll get you there. It's about how are we enjoying the process getting in there, getting to that point. Are we able to get out of it as much as we want? And does it have to be just a horrible experience, something where you're suffering all the time, you have no type of life outside of the gym or outside of your diet kind of thing? So I take that approach with them, that kind of I get a sense for that person and their personality. The one thing I always kind of get a giggle out of this, I always tell clients, toward the end of our consultations is, as you're sitting here sizing me up, I'm doing the same thing to you. What kind of client are you going to be? How compliant are you going to be? Are you really open to stepping outside of your comfort zone? Are you really open to taking a different approach from what you might be accustomed to? And more often than not, that's the case. And so it's those people that I really enjoy working with, that are willing to try something new, and they learn that our way, and you and I are both confident that our way is the best way. But there's so many people out there that get caught up in all this other stuff that they find online, or their friend in the locker room was telling them about. And so my favorite part is when they come back to me like 2 months later and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is just so much better, and I feel better, I'm getting results. I can't believe I'm not deprived. I can't believe I'm not, feeling restricted. If I want a slice of pizza, I can," all these kind of things. So, I definitely want to make sure that they feel supported, and some people, they do. It's funny because I have clients who will come up to me and say, "Hey, I need you on my butt. I need you to,
Right.
call me every morning," and all these kind of things. And I'll do that. And then other people, they need a little bit more gentle touch. And so I try to adopt to that, but say, "Hey, if you want success, if you want results, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. We can't keep doing the same thing that you were doing." We all get the same 24 hours in a day, from the richest man, most successful person in the world to the poorest and least successful. We all get it's just how we choose to do it. And so what I try to do after a fashion is begin to challenge them, saying, "Hey, look, this is what you wanted to do, but you're still telling me about all these reasons why you can't. How is that helping you today?" And really what I try to do is get them into what we call motivational interviewing. What is your relationship? What is your goal? What is your relationship to your goal right now? How important is this goal for you to achieve? And when I get people start to think that way, you can see a shift. If they've been kind of stuck, I really see a shift in their thinking and in their physiology. They start saying, "Hey, you know what? Yeah, that's a good point. I really do need to start doing things differently, or I'm just going to continue getting the same results." So.
Yeah, and I love what you said about the interview process. You have a prospective client sitting in front of you. You're not just taking information and trying to close the deal. You're interviewing them, and you're quite literally creating some expectations in their mind, which I think gives you some extra credibility. Number one, how have you changed your approach perhaps over the last 19 years as you look at shifts in culture? Obviously, it's an entirely different world than it was 19 years ago. The changes in our own industry, competition in your area between weight loss clinics, online coaches, personal trainers. What have you seen happen, and how have you had to evolve?
I think what I've seen happen is definitely the biggest changes. I think there's a lot more marketing out there in terms of taking all these different types of approaches to diet and exercise, with all the boutique clubs coming out and all of the, different types of diets and so on and so forth. It's really been important for my continued success to really adapt, with those changes that are coming out into the market. And really what I've tried to do, and kind of where I'm at in my career now, is really kind of, we talked, you and I talked a little bit about this a couple weekends ago, as far as kind of looking ahead, ourselves, and kind of seeing what is next. What can we do to really change the industry for the better? What's really going to, just give our clients, so much more value and so much more long-term success in something they've never seen before, So I think for me, and going back, when I first started in 2000, it was just, personal training. And it was really, for all of my clients, that bodybuilding mindset, and that's how we train, not to be a bodybuilder, but just that approach. And then it kind of, I got away from that, 10 years ago, and kind of took a different approach in terms of training, kind of more of less hardcore mentality with them. And then obviously within the advent of CrossFit and all these other types in the last, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever it is, I've actually started to adopt a little bit of that. And obviously the big one being functional style training. I mean, even 5 years ago, functional training, that wasn't in my, no, I don't do that. Absolutely not. You go somewhere else. No. I actually provide that now. And it's really been a growing and maturing experience for me as well, growing as an individual. And again, being able to provide those clients what they need. But again, going back to your question about specialization, don't get outside of what I am comfortable in providing, and making sure that you're staying up on the education and the research so that you can provide the best experience overall. We also talked about, the importance of, meeting our clients where they're at. Is what does a client need to be successful? We're kind of joking about this 15 years ago when we started. It was like, okay, here's what we want you to do. Someone is, oh, can you create me a menu? No, we don't do that. We want to teach you. We want to, so on and so forth. That doesn't exist today. You can't say that today. You got to give those clients examples. Here's some samples of what I did. And more importantly, you work with them on that. It's not me just ripping off the menu. Here, Joe, go ahead and follow that. Get back to me in a month. No. It's that collaboration, and it's really getting to know the client as an individual and developing that relationship. That really is, it becomes personal. I know about your kids. I know about your wife. I know, and all these kind of things. And, all these, just because it develops that stronger connection, that stronger relationship, which for me has yielded just fantastic long-term clients, and more importantly, clients who have been, I just had one yesterday. She renewed her diet. She's been her and her husband, a long-time training clients of mine. She just renewed her diet doc program for the 5th time, I think.
Wow.
Because she just wants to keep rocking and rolling. So we're developing those relationships and just, evolving the process, as it relates to that person. So I definitely have to adapt.
You brought up a good point there. I think back when I started, maybe 22, 23 years ago, where I owned a gym, I had a staff of personal trainers, I was doing some training, doing nutrition programming. I think it was easier for people just to commit, like, this is exactly what I need. Let's do it. Whether it's 6 months, a year, here's my plan. I'm doing this program today. And I really think it's more of a change with how we consume information. As soon as you need something, the first thing you do is you go to Google or YouTube, and how do you do this? And, we try and figure some things out on our own. We're looking for not just the most convenience, but the best price. So I think in today's market, people really need to be taken through a process in many, many more steps. So it could be giving them a really small program as kind of a trial period, or even, free content, things like that. But once you do have them in that process, like you said, you've developed some relationship, building that is going to last. So, it's not that everything has been turned upside down in 20 years, but it's become more of a proving ground. I've heard that the millennial generation is the most skeptical. And I think because they have access to so much information, so you really have to prove yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to, like I said, with the whole how you support a client. I mean, there's no, I do not support every single client the same way. I mean, there are some clients who sign up to me and they are so type in. You talk about me, they want to know down to how many milligrams of sodium are they consuming a day. So I build in a column in their spreadsheets for that. But then there are other clients who get macro. What's a macro? I have to count? No, I don't want. Okay, that's fine. We don't have to do that right now. And so I adopt that process for them and say, hey, what if we just focus on your habits right now? Where you haven't been eating breakfast for the last, 6 years. What if we just for this week focus on breakfast? Just have a good, healthy breakfast just to start your day. And then next week we'll focus on another thing. And next week, and then before they know it, 6 weeks, 2 months down the road, now they're counting macros, or now they're, whatever it might be for them. We're able to make some adjustments and we're able to make some tweaks. So I think it's super important to really just adopt and evolve your program and your process to that person as an individual, what they need to be successful. This isn't what I need. And I admit that was the mistake that I fell into back in the beginning when I first started. It's like, this is what you do. It just doesn't work because, like you said, we can just go on our phones right now, get that information in 2 seconds. But what's going to be more important and why we as a diet doc are the best organization out there for nutrition and weight loss is because we're going to give you unmatched support. You're not going to get that support, the type of support, the level of support anywhere else. You can go to any, website and have, some numbers spit out at you. What do I do with that? Right? Or you can get an email, we're going to give you that extra that you need. And it's just about continuing to evolve that process.
And I think that is a big difference, and duly noted by you. That there are a lot of people who just come into this industry. They think, wow, this is amazing and just so sexy to be a personal trainer in the fitness industry. Yeah. And I'm going to build this next empire. But they not built that on a foundation of education, experience, support. And that's one of the things I'm so proud of you for, Michael, is that not only did you say, man, as soon as Joe opened up the Diet Doc licensing program a dozen years ago, I'm first in line, I'm sitting at the table in Evansville, Indiana, I'm getting this training, but you have continued to evolve. You paid me one of the greatest compliments I think I've ever received. It may have been last year at our annual conference in San Diego, but you said, after all of these years watching you, Joe, and watching the company grow, the thing that I like most is that you are absolutely open to change. You're always searching, you're looking for it. Even if we have to completely reverse course on a process we've used in the past, we discover, well, this is actually better, or now because of cultural change, we need to do this. And I've seen you do the same thing. So I flipped that compliment right back to you, because you've become an incredibly mature professional. Your experience, your education, your continued, digging into the kinds of just information that you need to become that confident professional. And that's one of the reasons I said I wanted to interview you for this. Is I'm in true awe of your confidence as a health professional. And I think that comes across because you built that foundation on experience, 19 years of successful work with clients. And we're just, happy and proud to have you as part of our team.
Well, I appreciate that. And I've always said, as far as it's, I've always heard when, you start reading about other professionals or, people just, who have achieved a lot, they always talk about luck, there's definitely some luck that has to be involved in it. I was like, I don't know. I really am kind of, I guess that meant, we create our own luck, whatever. But, as I got to thinking about that over the course of the last year, it kind of ties in with what you just said. It really was fortunate for me to be at that meeting, that seminar, 20 years ago, and listening to you speak, and then, having that opportunity and just being in the right place at the right time to be the first office out of, what do you have, 120, 130 offices we have now, and still, and just seeing how the organization has grown and what we're doing today compared to what we were doing 15 years ago. And I'm truly grateful. And, it's you and Dr. Corey and all of our other owners who I've really gotten to know well, that inspire me. And it's great for me because I kind of feel like I'm the old dog on the street in terms of being here since day one.
You and me both.
Exactly. Often I just feel like I'm the new guy because I'm constantly trying to change. What are other owners doing? And, I got to get that going here. So I just kind of feel like I'm still kind of way down here, instead of being, up at the top. And so I like that though. Because it forces me to get better and grow. And who benefits from that? Our clients. So that's what it's about. And
just to summarize and wrap this up for today's podcast, I want to emphasize again, not only are you constantly looking to improve and grow and adapt and bring everything new in that you think is viable for your clients, which makes you not only a true professional, but that means you're also specializing in the things that work. So you are obviously a very seasoned personal trainer helping people with their fitness goals. They can come to you clearly for their nutrition needs as well. That's your true specialty. And as a niche specialty, you're also a diet doc, performance and contest prep coach. So you get all kinds of support on that end. And like you said, your clients in that world are doing extremely well. You're winning all kinds of shows and moving people up the ladder out there. So first of all, anybody who wants to get in touch with Michael, it's the Diet Doc, Nashua, New Hampshire, Michael Wilkie. And man, I just want to say thanks again for coming on today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Joe. It's always a pleasure.
All right. You guys take care, and we'll be back tomorrow for another episode.